Today we're going to look at the life of one of the most important people in the history of Western civilization. His name was Julius Caesar, and he was a famous leader in the army of ancient Rome. He later used his army to take power in Rome and become the dictator. Julius Caesar was born in Rome in 100 BC into a famous family. Early on in his career, he worked both in politics and in the military. His first important job was running the part of the Roman Empire that today is called Spain. After that, he moved to France, which had been a problem for Rome for many years. There had been constant fighting between Rome and the barbarians in France. Caesar was made head of the Roman army here, and it was his job to finally defeat these barbarians. During the next 8 years, he was extremely successful. He conquered all of France and Belgium and added these areas to the Roman Empire. He also made 2 journeys to Britain to expand the empire here too. The battles that he won during these years would give him a reputation as being one of the greatest military leaders of all time. Because of his success, he became very popular with the people in Rome. However, his success also made the politicians in Rome scared of him. They thought that Caesar was becoming too powerful and too popular. The leader in Rome at the time was a man called Pompey. Pompey thought that the popularity and success of Caesar was a threat. He thought that Caesar would try and take power and become leader of Rome himself. He was right. The law in ancient Rome said that if the head of an army, like Caesar, wanted to return to Italy, wanted to return to Rome, they had to leave their army behind. They weren't allowed to bring their army with them into Rome. However, Caesar broke this law. He returned to Italy with his army and tried to take power. This started a civil war between Caesar and the politicians in Rome. The politicians were led by Pompey, who had also been in the Roman army when he was younger. However, Caesar was a much greater military leader, and he won the war. He defeated Pompey's army, but Pompey managed to escape to Egypt. However, Caesar followed him there, and Pompey was finally killed. While Caesar was in Egypt, he fell in love with the queen here, Cleopatra, and they had a child together. Caesar returned to Rome and made himself dictator. In fact, the English word dictator is the word that Caesar used to describe himself. At the beginning, it didn't have any negative meaning. It just meant that one person was the leader. They could be good or bad and still be called a dictator. However, over time, the meaning has changed, and now the word always means someone bad. There is a famous saying in English, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Once Caesar took control, he tried to hold on to power. He gave important jobs to his friends and allies. But Caesar wasn't actually a bad ruler. In fact, he made a number of important and helpful changes after he took power. However, although Caesar was popular with a lot of normal people, many of the politicians in Rome hated being ruled by one man. Rome had not had a king for more than 500 years before Caesar, and the politicians were very proud that their government was a republic. Caesar changed this and became almost like another king. Whether Caesar had been good or bad, the politicians didn't want their power taken by someone else. They didn't want to be ruled by a dictator. Some of them, therefore, planned to kill him. Only a year after he took power, Caesar was assassinated. While he was in the government building, the Senate, he was attacked by the other senators. Around 60 men attacked him at the same time, and Caesar was killed. While he was alive, Caesar was popular with a lot of people in Rome, and they weren't happy that the senators had killed him. Caesar still had a lot of support from the people. Before he died, Caesar had said that one of the younger members of his family should take power after him, a young man called Augustus. After Caesar was killed, there was another civil war, a fight between Augustus and the politicians who had killed Caesar. Augustus won and became the next ruler of Rome. Augustus would become more than just a dictator, however. He would become the first emperor of Rome. The Republic was over forever, and Rome would be ruled by emperors for the next few hundred years.